Hello once again, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of NB Bass, and I'm your host, Donald Patterson, joining you again for a beautiful New Brunswick morning. Well, beautiful might be a bit of a stretch, but we'll go with that. Before we go any further, as always, thanks to Fish Bum Outfitters, Carrot Sticks Rods, Southern Yankee Baits, War Dog Lures, Northern Michigan Outfitters, and Hooked on Canadian Angling, and most importantly, my wife and my son. Just a quick call back to last week's show when I was discussing boat ramp etiquette. One thing that I forgot to mention that I should have, and it came into play for a number of individuals at our NBSFA tournament this past weekend. When you are launching, especially for a tournament and there's a big lineup of boats and you're launching while it's still dark, when you're sitting waiting and vehicles are having to back past you to go down the ramp, turn your headlights off. It's just a simple little thing, takes a couple of seconds to reach over and flip them off, and it saves the person that's backing down a ramp getting blinded by your lights and slowing them down. Some people think, I'll leave my headlights on so they can see. If they have to back up with your lights in their mirror, trust me, they're better off without. It's just one of those little things that can really screw somebody up. So just keep that in mind, folks. I should have mentioned that last week, and I forgot. And, then I witnessed it being a problem for some people this past weekend. This past weekend, congratulations go out to Ralph and Bert Beach, the winners of the NBSFA Perth Andover qualifier tournament. 15.65 pounds for their winning weight. On top of that, a 4.2 pound smallmouth to anchor their bag for the lunker. They had quite a day. Winning the event, $2,300 if memory serves me correctly. The lunker award, which with the Lindsay Construction Snowball Prize, I guess you could call it. The lunker was worth a little over $800. Not a bad payday for a day's fishing. And, a great field. Normally Perth Andover is one of our smaller events because it's about the furthest distance we travel. I believe last year we were in the mid-30s to the 40 range, and this year 51 boats hit the water, so great turnout. I wish I could say we had a great day. Fished hard, fished real hard. Could only manage 4 keepers, none of which had any massive size. One of those days, after dodging some heavy rain and thunderstorms, it was definitely not one of our best performances, but hey, that's part of fishing. What can you do other than reset and look forward to the next one? And that being said, looking forward to the next one, I am. We are now moving into, I don't want to say late August just yet. I don't want to rush time away, but by the time our next tournament gets here, we're looking at the latter half of August 20th. Oh, excuse me. And definitely getting into a transition period again. The fish will be starting to move off of their, full-on summer patterns. You're still looking at some warmer weather, but you're looking at cooler nights, changing the water temperatures, bringing the water temperatures down, and starting to transition towards fall patterns. That being said, I anticipate some much more, barring some wild weather that changes our river on us, I anticipate some much bigger weights for this event in Oromocto than what we had in the last event. And that's something that we have to be prepared for. But how do you know when those transitions are taking place? I guess at the end of the day, there is no magic formula it comes down to watching, well, there's factors you have to be aware of. It's not, like I said, it's not a magic formula. It's not, oh, come August 15th, things change. Excuse me. It's a number of things you've got to keep an eye on. For us, with the Oromocto event, we have to watch our tides. It's tidal water. It's affected by the Bay of Fundy, which has the highest tides in the world. So it has a significant impact on our river, or that portion of our river. So we have to watch our tides. You know, we have to watch our moon phase. I don't care what anybody says. Oh no, that's an old wives' tale. Like, bleep, is that an old wives' tale? So watch your moon phases. Get to know, you know, if you've got a full moon coming up, you know, do a little research on lunar cycles and how it affects angling. You know, each area is probably a little different, but something I haven't done yet for this tournament. I haven't checked the moon cycles, but trust me, before it rolls around, I will be looking into them. And then your water temperature. It's getting even already. As much as I don't want to wish the summer away, our evenings are getting cooler. It's not staying as persistently hot through the night. So the water temperatures are going to drop a little bit. At least, you know, first thing in the morning. So it's going to change their morning feeding patterns. So all this stuff you have to be aware of going into these, you know, late summer events when you're looking at, you're waking up in the morning and you're starting to say, oh, it feels like fall. Well, if it feels like fall to you, it's going to start feeling like fall to those fish. And don't let the midsummer heat fool you. Don't get me wrong. Late in the day, if you haven't managed your bites and it's 30 degrees Celsius outside, you may have to start looking for your deep structure again, because if that water temperature jumps back up on those hot late August days, you know, the fish aren't going to sit up in the, you know, they're not looking to sit up in a foot of water and get a suntan. You know, they're still going to, you know, resort back to their usual warm weather movements. But those cool mornings, or cool nights, you know, cooler mornings, they should, in most cases, turn your morning bite on. You should be able to jump out there in the morning and find some fish pretty quick. So keep all that stuff in mind. Just because you pulled 13 pounds out of a hole a month ago, don't expect those exact same fish or same quality fish to be holding in the same area, you know, now. That's one of the challenges. I mean, if the fish sat in the exact same spot all year round, once you found a good spot, there wouldn't be much challenge to it. You'd only have to learn one or two spots for each body of water, and okay, well, somebody got to my number one spot first, so now I'm going to go to number two. And that's great, but it doesn't work that way. Excuse me. Take a drink. Jason and I have a spot that, knock on wood, we've been fishing for 3 years now. That we have tried it at all times of year, and it's frustrating because we can normally pull in there in late summer and into the fall and just bang, 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 one fish after another, 5 fish in the boat within the first hour of the tournament, and then we just upgrade from there. We pull into that exact same spot in July. We're lucky to get one small keeper out of that spot. It's all part of the learning curve, and anyone who has been at this a while, who's being honest with you, will tell you that they went through that learning curve too. And anybody that's new at this, that thinks that learning curve is not going to apply to them, well, my friends, I apologize. I hate to be the one to break this to you. You're in for a rude awakening. You know, I know one team, well, it was half of one team, but I know both guys that were fishing that day. And I know at least one of them listens to this show. I'm not going to call anybody by name. They had a very solid game plan going into our last Oromocto tournament. Being tidal waters, our tide rotations are basically 2-week rotations. So if you're going to pre-fish for this event, you want to do it 2 weeks before the event, not 1. Because in 2 weeks' time, your tide patterns are going to be almost the same again. They're still off by a few minutes, but they're pretty close to the same. So these guys went into this tournament, you know, feeling pretty confident. They had fished the previous weekend, managed around 14 pounds in a pre-fish, thought they were in pretty good shape. Slightly different weather, 1 week's difference in the tides. Their plan didn't work out. And that's all part of the learning curve. And I will tip my hat and give credit where it's due. Yes, they were discouraged that day. And I don't blame them. I would have been too. Anybody would have been. But they didn't let it slow them down. They were right back out on the water, throwing baits, asking questions, and learning more within a few days. Like, it didn't stop them. Where a lot of guys, and it's stuff like that I think discourages a lot of anglers. So if you're new to this sport, or new to, not necessarily to fishing, but to tournament fishing, please keep that in the back of your head. It doesn't matter how many days or years or weeks, it doesn't matter how long you've been doing this. You're gonna have days that are better than others. You're gonna have days that are worse than others. You know, it's just one of those things. I have seen 20-year, 25-year experienced anglers come in with empty live wells or one fish on a body of water they know, on a body of water that they have, you know, cash checks on. It's just one of those things. So don't think it's you. Don't think I'm not good enough. If you had enough confidence to start tournament fishing, odds are you've caught fish. You've put big fish in the boat. But once you add the pressure of there being a check on the line and the constraints of a clock, you know, even though, like, for our tournaments, 9 hours is a long period of time to be out catching fish. But just because it's tick, 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 time's going by, that's an added element of pressure. You know, that when you're out fun fishing with your buddies or with your, you know, wife and kids or whoever you fun fish with, that pressure's not there. So even though you may only go out 5 hours at a time, it's, yeah, okay, we go out, we catch what we catch. So it's not exactly the same. So just keep that in mind. Don't get discouraged. And start segmenting your seasons into, or your seasons into the time of year. And realize that spring is different than summer, summer is different than fall, and so on. Each time of year is going to treat you a little bit different. So, excuse me. Don't let yourself get frustrated. Don't give up. This sport needs more people that are really, really willing to jump in and give it a try. So don't give up. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll be back later with part 2 of this week's show. Please come back and join me then. Until then, thanks again. Fish Bum Outfitters, Carrot Sticks Rods, Southern Yankee Baits, War Dog Lures, Northern Michigan Outfitters, Hooked on Canadian Angling, my wife, my son. Thank you very much. We'll talk to you again soon. Set the hook. Keep those lines tight.